And we're back live for the World E-Hockey League playoffs. It is time for the Stanley Cup Finals, and we are down to two teams. It'll be the Montreal Canadiens against the St. Louis Blues in the finals tonight, games 1 and 2. And, of course, 3 and 4 will be tomorrow night. Hi, everyone. T-Sibs with you once again, along with, again, our cast of characters on the broadcast. We'll see who shows up of everybody we have listed here, but right now we've got Best, Dog, and Pucker with us, as well as a couple of guests for the pregame show. Got Backhand Jamboree on here for the Canadiens and Rapel on for St. Louis. And gentlemen, before we get to talking to you guys, say hi to Dog. And again, you guys have been covering all season long. It's come down to these two teams. I'll ask you a very quick question here. Is any of this a shock, Montreal and St. Louis? Is this kind of basically what you expected, or because Montreal was such a rough starting team that might be the one surprise here for you?
I'd have to say, well, with St. Louis, I think it's no surprise. They've been a solid team all season, just an absolute powerhouse on the offensive end of the puck. And but I'd have to say with Montreal, I think it's been quite a surprise, quite a turnaround. I honestly did not predict them to get this far, like from the start of the season. So. They starting off like 4-16 or whatever their record was. It's been quite a season to turn it around for sure, and going to be interesting to see what happens in the Stanley Cup final though.
And we'll get to some more stats about this all later on. Pucker has put together quite an array of information. We'll talk about it in just a minute. But let's talk to Backhand Jamboree and Rapel here. Get these guys on for a few minutes before they have to get going. And Backhand, we appreciate you coming on tonight. Again, you guys have played good, solid teams. I think all 3 rounds leading up to the finals. And I think one of the strengths you guys have had has been consistent game in and game out with good team defense. Is that the key in your mind to how well your team has played all year long?
I definitely think it's a good key core to what values that our team has. Start off with a good, solid D first. It makes it easier to break out into the zone. Everybody's back. You got the options or a quick break, or if you need to hold the puck for a little bit to see something else open up, you got that option there. But we got the guys that once they get it in the zone, they can hold it down low and work the puck around and really open up the ice too. So I'd say we're multifaceted, but I definitely think that a good core value that this team has is a solid team defense.
And again, St. Louis on the other side, a team that has been incredibly tough offensively. Do you see any differences in your game tonight to what you've done the first 3 rounds, or is it business as usual for how you play any team?
I think you just go in with the same mentality that you do any other team that you play against. You don't want to change anything up. If it's working, don't fix it. The old cliche saying. You got your confidence going in. We don't have any reason to be down on ourselves. We're definitely not overlooking any team that we play against. You have to go at it the same way that you do every day. Each time you get on the ice, it's a new game, 0-0 game. You're going in there trying to put your best foot forward. So I say you just come out, play like we always do, and see where we can go from there.
And say, almost the same thing on your side, Rape. I'll get one quick question before we let the rest of the boys talk. You guys, again, have played I think your style has been consistent game after game, series after series here in the playoffs. Do you do anything different with Montreal? Do you see any reason why you should?
No, I think that our style of play kind of speaks for itself. We're deep. We got a lot of elite talent on this team. A lot of offense, very good defensemen. Our style of play has just been working for us, so I really don't see any reason for us to change it.
Let somebody else jump in here if they got a question for the guys.
Yeah, I'll start off with Montreal. So it looks like to me that the biggest challenge that you guys are going to have from beating yourself is the penalties. You guys average about four penalties, or 4 penalty minutes a game, so two penalties. Your PK is pretty good at 75%. Is there anything that you think that you guys have to keep yourself from shooting yourselves in the foot to win these games? Or, yeah, I'll let you take it from there.
No, I mean, most definitely. Anytime that you're playing against a team of St. Louis's caliber, you have to have your mental game on. Unfortunately, we do have some penalties that we have taken, but luckily we step it up when we shake it off. We move on to the next play. Can't stay down and worry about, oh, you did this, you did that, because it's all about the next play. It's not about what you did, it's what you're going to do. So you have to just keep that mentality with the pedal down. And don't worry about what's happening. Do what you can to fix the situation that you're in.
Backhand, I'm going to come back to you with one other question. So there's a lot of great talent on your team. Is there any one, two, or three people that just stand out that really are going to have to play at a high level for your team to be successful?
I don't think there's any specific players. I think that flat across the board, we got all great guys. Our defensive core going from Fat Matt to Haunted. We got Dakota Pie that comes in and plays defense. We got a good, solid stack back to help our tendies out. We really got to rely on our wings and our center line, or our center to come down, help us out, because we know that St. Louis is going to be bringing that aggressive forecheck, and they're going to be moving the puck fast. So we really all got to lean on each other. I don't think you can finger point and say one person's going to be the guy.
So, Rafe, I'm going to say that same question over to you. You guys have two guys that have just blown the stats off the paper, and that's White Knucklers and RV Clutch. Are they going to be your leaders going in to finish this the Stanley Cup Finals? Do you need them to have big games to be able to win the series?
Well, first off, I think RV Clutch and White Knucklers, they're good. They're phenomenal players, and White Knucklers and RV Clutch are going to do what White Knucklers and RV Clutch do, and that's going to be win games. They haven't lost a game yet in the playoffs. They're tearing up everybody they play against when they're together. And but the only one thing you have to look at is we were first in the regular season without them playing. RV Clutch played one game all season. I think White Knucklers played 5. So we're deep, man. We're deep. We can win no matter who's out there. We have a plethora of good players on this team, and I just think everybody's gotta come. Everybody's got to bring it, because Montreal's a good team.
So, Rachel, I'm going to come back to you. In I think it was game 1 of round 3, we saw the defense for St. Louis break down. It did seem like we had a right wing playing center that game, and that may have contributed to it. What does St. Louis have to do to keep themselves from shooting themselves in the foot with maybe availability or signups or anything like that?
Well, I can tell you exactly what happened in game 3, and that was on me. I've always been a very big advocate having your handedness correct, and availability was not great for that game, and I ended up having to move a natural winger to center so I could have a righty on the left wing and a lefty on the right wing. And then we were short a defenseman, so we ended up moving me back to defense as I played wing the whole year. So that defensive breakdown was on me and on the centerman the winger who ended up playing center. He played valiantly. Like he did his job. It's just hard to play at a position. And when you have two players playing at a position like that, it's really tough because we play a really good team game. We like to all play, move the puck around, use all 5 players, and it's tough when you got guys at a position like that.
I couldn't agree with you more. Anytime you even just switching the side of the ice, going from left side to the right side, it can definitely throw your game off.
100%. If you put me, I'm a left winger. If you put me on the right wing, I can tell you right now, I'll be useless.
All right, well, we're going to let you guys go and get ready, go practice, whatever you need to do. But listen, thanks for joining us. Good luck tonight in the first 2 games to Backhand and to Rabel. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, anytime. Thanks for having us on.
Hey, thanks for having us on. Yeah,
got this.
same to you guys. Appreciate it. Later.
All right, backhand jamboree, and it's Rapel taking off now. And let's go to you, Dog, for what we were, some of the things we were asking these guys. What's your take on how each one of these teams are going to have to play? Montreal has really done a good job of balancing their offense and defense, but do they need to be a little more defensive minded against a really good St. Louis team who let's face it, are just incredibly quick with the puck and just set themselves up so well offensively? Does Montreal do anything different to St. Louis? Yeah, what's your initial thought on this? Dog?
Sorry, what was the question again?
Just on the two teams, what are they going to have to do? Do you think either one of them have to do anything different than what they've been doing the whole playoffs?
Well, I just think I think they need to take each other seriously and don't sleep on any of them. So I think it's just they just gotta keep playing their game. I don't think they really need to change much. Actually, I think they just gotta keep playing their game like they've been doing all playoffs.
And let's get Best in here to talk a little bit about what he's seen so far. You've been hanging out with us during the playoffs. You've seen what Montreal can do. They've done a good job shutting down really the last series against Detroit, who really manhandled Philly and played a tough Pittsburgh team, but really shut them down fairly well. And it looked like a very different Detroit team, except for maybe 2 games. Does Montreal have enough here to take on St. Louis? And what do you think the combination of games has to be? Do they need to be 3-2 going into Game 6? How do you see the series shaking out? And does Montreal have a chance?
I think they could pull it out. I mean, they showed how good they are. I mean, Detroit was a really good team, and they definitely manhandled them. But St. Louis is also a powerhouse too. So I think for them to win that, they would have to stay up in the series, up to the Game 7. You would have to stay up the entire series, in my opinion. If they would fall behind, it's going to be a big hill to climb.
See, I'm thinking, guys. Now their home field, their home ice, these first 2 games, correct, Bucker? Montreal.
Yes, Montreal is home ice. Game 1 and 2.
And how does it work out for the rest of the series? Who has home in the other games?
Yeah, so traditionally, St. Louis had the better regular season record, and so St. Louis would actually have home ice Game 1, Game 2, and then also come back at Game 5 and Game 7. Due to the website showing Montreal as home, it created a lot of confusion. Both teams thought that we were at home. About an hour ago, I was informed of this, and the lines were due at that point in time. So the best thing that was decided to do was to let Montreal go ahead and keep their home ice advantage, so it didn't mess over any team for Game 1 and 2. St. Louis gets Game 3 and 4. And then it goes back to the way it should have been. So St. Louis, we'll see St. Louis at home again in Game 5, and then Montreal, Game 6, and then back to St. Louis for Game 7.
Okay, I see. So a little unconventional. But Montreal, if they're up 3-2 going into Game 6 with home ice, that's to me, I kind of feel like that's what they should be shooting for at the very least. Try and close that out in 6.
Oh, yeah.
You hate to see it get down to the last game, and then your powerhouse lineups on both sides. And to me, guys, your opinion, I'd like to hear what your opinion is. But if it goes to a Game 7, I see St. Louis taking it at that point. I feel like Montreal needs to close it out in 6 if they're going to win this.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. St. Louis has just a powerhouse of 2 dynamic forwards with white knucklers and RV Clutch. Honestly, for Montreal to win this series, they are going to have to steal a game from them. And they need to do it before Game 7. If it goes to Game 7, you got best versus best, and St. Louis on paper and throughout the season looks better than Montreal's best. Montreal is deeper, and that's where Montreal has the advantage. They have a solid deep team across the board. So Montreal's going to have to win with their depth instead of their overall top talent.
How do you guys? How do you see it, Dog? How do you see the layout of the games? Do you see a pattern of where Montreal has to go as far as which games they need to win, and to what Tucker said, they need to steal one when St. Louis has home ice?
I think they'd have to steal one of these games tonight in order to actually have a chance, to make it a competitive series. I also do think they need to take care of business on home ice come games 3 and 4.
And anything else? I know you did a ton of work on stats, Pucker. What are some of the things that stand out to you for each of these teams that are going to be critical? Let's talk about Montreal first. What do you think they need to have happen? What kind of performances should they expect or really need to win this?
Oh, mother.
Montreal is going to need to find a way to help their goalies and curb St. Louis's shots on goal average. St. Louis is averaging almost 15 shots on goal, and Montreal, it doesn't matter who they're facing, is usually giving up that many shots. So Montreal's got to limit the amount of opportunity St. Louis gets, because St. Louis doesn't just take random bad shots. They are going to take high quality shots. These goalies are going to get tested like they have not been tested, before. And so that's Montreal's key to victory, in my opinion, is they've got to limit St. Louis's opportunity. They've taken a lot of penalties throughout the playoffs. They got to decrease the amount of penalties that they take. And when they do have the puck and they find themselves in the offensive zone, they got to be opportunistic. They've got to take advantage of their scoring chances, because if they don't, they're going to find themselves on the backside of a shootout, on the bad side of a shootout.
And again, Best, what's your feeling going into these first two games with Montreal having home ice? Do they need to win both of these right now and keep that advantage?
Yeah, because if you lose, just one, I mean, you're down one. I mean, it turns into a different series at that point. So I think they need to win both of them.
All right, we're waiting for the game to start here. We should see St. Louis is getting most of their guys in the locker room right now. Still a couple of minutes after 9, so we know these games tend to start a little bit later than scheduled. We have to wait for everybody to get going here. So we at least will have a St. Louis feed. We hope to be able to switch around, show you it from Montreal's point of view as well. But at least we do have a feed from the Blues. So Nasty Uncle Dad was nice enough to provide that for us tonight, and hopefully we'll be able to see that for a little while and get a look at that game. But yeah, it's this lineup that they've got going in the first game, guys. We've got St. Louis starting out with Hayam New on right wing, Rapel on left, Top Cheese at center. Joss the Boss on left D, Nasty Uncle Dan on right D, and D's in net for the Blues. And the Canadians with Dirty Dog, Big Little Guy, Vikings up front, Fat Matt and the Haunted on defense, and Cab Relics on in the net for the Canadians tonight. Dog, again, you've been watching this team all season long. Let me get your take about what St. Louis has done putting out this line. And this setup, it looks like they put out some good defense, and certainly, Rapel has been pretty damn good up at left wing, but maybe not necessarily their top line of Rapel, I'm New, and Top Cheese, or am I wrong about that?
I wouldn't say you're wrong about that. I mean, they're just strong regardless what line they put out for the forwards they have. Rapel and Knucklers and all them, and they can produce offense. They know how to cycle the puck. They know how to pass the puck around the boards. They know how to do simple plays, high quality shots, and that's I think that's the strong suit of their offense.
And we look at the other line for Montreal, Pucker, with Dog, big little guy. We've seen him all playoff long doing well for the Canadiens and Vikings. And what I like about big little guy, too, is how well he comes back and plays defense. So, and with that, the defense of Fat Matt and Haunted and Relics and Net, is that a strong all-around lineup there for the Canadiens? Good defense, good offense?
I think it's a balanced attack. I think that both of the big little guy's been their point leader. He's also been their leading scorer in the playoffs. So you definitely have a solid center from an offensive standpoint. He's also been really big on the hits, causing a lot of turnover, a lot of chaos for the other teams. I think he's leading the team in hits as well. And so when you have somebody like that's that disruptive on the ice, it's gonna be good. Dirty Dog is kind of one of those secondary guys that's really talented, but he's just a solid all around guy. And both goaltenders, it doesn't matter who Montreal puts in net. Combined, they are averaging 88% save percentage and something silly like a 1.9 goal against average. So their goaltending is just phenomenal in Montreal, and they're gonna have to be phenomenal to beat St. Louis.
They're searching right now, so I think they're just waiting on Montreal to show up for the invite. Once we get that cranked up, we'll get this game up and running. We thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Again, T. Sibbs, Dog Chow with me, as well as Lucky Pucker and Best There Is. Hopefully we'll get some of the other folks in a little later. If Doc can stay awake long enough, maybe we'll get him in as well if it's not past his bedtime. And we'll talk to him in a little while. And plenty going on, obviously. Amongst the finals going on, guys, there's a lot of tryouts going on, Best. There's guys starting up their teams the first few days of getting things going there. It's been pretty busy trying to get season 1 done, but get set up for season 2 as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's go ahead.
We'll get going here shortly. We're still waiting for the invite to be accepted here, but St. Louis is all ready, so we'll get this going here shortly.
Yeah, I think that just recently the owners were announced, and these guys are gung ho about season 2. So they're getting after it. They're getting their Discords up and running, and they're bringing everybody together. I think that it's good. Overall, it keeps people active. That's the downside is to off season or the deep in the playoffs is that these guys don't have anything to do other than fiddle around or do something else. So getting the owners, their teams, and allowing them to get started is going to help them get a jump start in bidding and everything like that, get an idea of what the teams are that they want, and probably help us have a more competitive summer season coming up is what I'm hoping.
Still waiting on the decision.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I said, yeah, for sure. It's definitely one of those things that you gotta have preparation for next season. It's kind of I think it's perfect on time for having scouting right now, because off season is literally a few days away. So it's going to be interesting to see all these new teams, new owners, and all that. Under new management it's going to be a completely different season than what we'd expect from this season. I mean, this season has been one hell of a ride, so next season I'm sure is going to be even more interesting and fun to watch, and especially do media on. It's going to be interesting to see.
Still searching for St. Louis, so hopefully we get this one going. But yeah, plenty of activity. There are a ton of guys trying to get ready for some scrimmages going on tonight. You know, and so guys are still trying to fit that in while trying to watch what's going on here. So yeah, it's just it's a lot happening. And if you're already running a team, if you're running the same team, like if you're running. You know, I don't know who's running St. Louis and Montreal next season, but if these guys are sticking around to try and think about another season while trying to win this one, that's never easy. And even for the other GMs who are in the playoffs who might be sticking around, you still you had some of your time taken for being able to scout some of these guys.
Yeah, I think overall it'll allow these guys to have a total of more time instead of waiting till next week to drop the owner list and then have guys starting the essentially the off season at that point. At this point, you know, two teams. We're down to the last two teams, and you know, I guarantee you that the teams that are still in the playoffs are 100% focused on this. The guys that are not, they're probably looking for something to do. So the nights that you know, we're not streaming this broadcast and not hosting these Stanley Cup Finals, they're probably looking for something to do. So I think this is going to be a good balance. Let the new owners go ahead and get things rolling. Try to get a jump start for next season. Obviously, the two guys that are still in the playoffs know what they're doing, so they'll be fine. They get a week delay on getting started. And plus, I'm sure that both these teams really want this cup. So,
absolutely, without question. We got.
I was just going to say, one thing that I didn't get a chance to mention was what St. Louis needs to do to win this game. And honestly, Rafel kind of hit it on the head. St. Louis needs to play their game. They need to put pucks on net. They need to continue to focus on getting those high-quality scoring chances and basically play defense by means of just controlling the time on attack and keeping the puck in the offensive zone, which is going to decrease the amount of chances that Montreal is going to have to score. Definitely an advantage between the stats and everything like that goes to St. Louis, and I definitely think St. Louis has a better chance of winning this series, regardless of when it ends.
We did speak about that a little bit today. You know, we talk about St. Louis's offense and Montreal's defense, but you know, it's like any other sport. Well, not any other sport, but it's like the ones that are timed. The longer you hold on to the puck, whatever ball, the less you have to play defense, and I think that's part of what's been successful for St. Louis defensively is if you're passing the puck around, if you're setting up plays and you're killing clock, that's part of your defensive strategy too, and I think that's been a big benefit for the Blues and how they play teams defensively.
Yeah, and there's no question. You know, when you've got somebody that's as high caliber as White Knuckler in center, he's almost like having a third defensive end. If you screw up, he's gonna be there to cover your ass, and that lets you be a little bit more aggressive than you would be otherwise on defense. And I think it definitely anytime he's on your line, you definitely it helps defense because he just makes your job easier. And so do the rest of the guys. I mean, St. Louis runs a trap, so does Montreal. Both, and anytime you have five guys back playing a trap game, it definitely makes defensive life a whole lot easier versus, you know, odd man chance after odd man chance.
St. Louis is still searching, so not sure what might be going on the side of Montreal. And actually, now they do show up. So just as I say that, they are here now, and we'll see if we have any. I'll be shocked if we don't have any issues starting this game up, but we will see as this one happens whether or not we have any issues starting it, as you'll see as well.
I'm just looking at the lineups. It looks like everybody's in that's supposed to be in for both sides. So we're good from that standpoint. There should not be any penalties. The game should just get going.
We've got the St. Louis feed, so you'll be watching them from the bottom of your screen up. So they are in the white, as you see, Montreal in red. And this game is now underway.
Interesting to see that they're in Montreal this game.
Yeah, Doug, I think you missed that earlier. Montreal's going to start off in the home on game 1 and 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it makes more sense now. There's a little confusion there, I'm sure, because I think I seen the chat and it was like, what was going on? So, yeah.
And that quickly, Montreal gets a great opportunity and puts one in.
Wow, nice goal.
Taking the early lead here.
Yeah, good job, Montreal. That's exactly what I said you guys have to do. You got to be efficient. You got to find a way to capitalize on your scoring chances. That was a great opportunity and way to finish there.
St. Louis now trying to set up. A little bit of pressure from Montreal. Now finally get something in there. WEHL not able to find any room to maneuver, and Montreal starts out. Taking their time. Some good forechecking by Top Cheese, but Montreal able to come back with it now. Dog the other way, gets it across ice. Looks like a tripping penalty coming up against St. Louis, and Montreal will get a power play here. St. Louis gets it and clears it down. Quick shot. Now Montreal picks it up, and a little slow movement there by Dees in net. Not able to get to his left side quickly enough, and Montreal, quick goal there, up 2-0 now. Power play goal for Montreal, taking advantage of the extra man.
Yeah, I think that's 2 shots or 3 shots and 2 goals, and they're doing a great job of capitalizing. They need to keep doing that. St. Louis has got to tighten up defensively and with their discipline. They can't be taking bad penalties like that.
Montreal continues on the attack. Dad gets it up the left side, and WEHL starts out. Josh, shot deflected. Good play there by a big little guy to fill the slot, and now Montreal the other way. WEHL trying to find some room to maneuver. Dad back to I'm new. Now in front, good intercept there by Haunted. He whips it around. Montreal starts out. We're halfway through the first period with the Canadiens up 2-0 in this one. And so far, really in control of this one.
Yeah, they're doing a great job overall, just controlling the tempo, definitely firing on all cylinders, and they're doing a great job overall this first period.
Face off again deep in the Blues zone. A lot of face-offs in their own zone so far.
Does Big Little have both the scoring goals so far?
No, they split them up. I saw the first name, but I'm not sure who that is for them. It might have been Dirty Dog who they gave credit for that one.
Yeah.
Montreal controlling again in front, wide open, and looks like one of their players may have glitched out a little bit there.
Oh, yeah, he's done.
He might still be offsides on the other end. I think he is. Yeah, he's stuck in.
Unless they get a whistle.
He's stuck in a trophy position there. Montreal, has to get offside there finally.
Yeah, reset.
It's nice of St. Louis to allow him to get the puck.
St. Louis getting some opportunity there, but not much. Hitting the 4-minute mark left to go in the first period. Canadians still up by 2 and still driving in the St. Louis zone. Flip in front, good shot, but Uncle Dad was there to make the play, and now St. Louis will catch another penalty, and Montreal back on the power play again.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of round 3, game 1, where we saw a lot of defensive breakdowns from St. Louis. Rapel said that he had it figured out. It looks like they're still trying to figure some things out. Hopefully they'll settle down here.
Right off the face-off. Yeah, right back to Haunted, who was able to put that one home. And Montreal now 3-0. Another power play goal. And I think a big little guy got credit for that one, got credit for the assist. So, yeah, goal and assist for a big little guy in this one so far in the game. Now another great opportunity right in front. And St. Louis having a ton of trouble, guys, keeping the Canadians out from in front of their net.
Uh-huh.
They need to start boxing them boys out.
So for St. Louis, this is a center that I don't think we've seen a whole lot play center. I wonder if after this game we see them audible back to the I pass to score at center and throw Cornette over on left wing. It seemed like they had a better chemistry when they got rolling with that lineup.
Now St. Louis getting it in the zone. Good opportunity. Follow-up. Puck is loose in the crease, but cover it up. Good play by Relics to make the save and stay on top of it.
It's good to see St. Louis finally put a puck on net and get a decent scoring chance, even though it's towards the end of the first. Hopefully they can go back to the locker room and work on some of these things that we're seeing and have a better second and third.
Well, so far it's been all Montreal in this game. Some great opportunities early. We've seen them take early leads and struggle to hold them, but right now it's been all Canadians, and St. Louis seems to be sitting on their heels in this one. Their offense really not attacking, guys. I'm not sure what we're witnessing here, but I'm not seeing an awful lot happening with this team.
Yeah. Looks like a completely different team.
Yeah, it looks like to me it's another lineup that hasn't really had a chance to mesh together. We talked about this last week with Rapel coming into the mix. How long is it going to take for St. Louis to kind of get back up to speed with what they were doing before, while they were in the regular season? And it looks like they're still having a hard time adjusting to that. So.
Second period about to start up. We'll take a look from the net cam of Cab Relics on this. Give you the Montreal feed for this one. And tough view on that, but a goal, another great play. Good quick movement up the ice. And big little guy with the goal.
Yeah, and big little guy is this team's point leader. He's their leading scorer, and we've seen him put up point after point in this game. I think he's got 3 points already with 2 goals and 1 assist. Doing a great job. He needs to keep it up.
And St. Louis on another penalty kill here.
Yep.
Need to do something about these penalties, one after the other. That is not helpful at all.
Yeah, you can tell that the frustration is starting to set in here for St. Louis. St. Louis is not typically a team that takes a lot of penalties, and we've already seen them take 2 or 3 in this game. Definitely getting frustrated, and they're letting it get the best of them. They need to settle down and focus on the next play.
Puck flipped around. Still controlled, back to the point. Good try by Matt. Gets a shot off, but puck held. Opportunities coming one after the other for Montreal. And they continue to dominate this game, up 4-0 now and on a power play in the second. St. Louis clearing it out. Starting up again. Dog flips it in. Fought in the corner, but St. Louis able to clear. Haunted. Dog trying to get in there. Good play by Uncle Dad to clear it out. Montreal starts again. Good takeaway by Rapel. He's trying to start up. Puck is loose and now back in the Montreal zone. Good fight there by Top Cheese to try and steal the puck. Forechecking. Good forechecking by St. Louis. Now they get it back. Almost able to steal it right away for a break, but not quite. Good opportunity, but broken up. Montreal the other way. Dirty Dog. Back to the point. On net. Good pad save by Dees. Now back to the point again on the right side. Nobody in the slot for that pass. Montreal trying to control it now. Basically a 3-on-1 here, and a backhander is a score for St. Louis.
St. Louis needed to find a way to stop the bleeding, and with that backhand, they were able to do it. They were able to narrow that lead down to a 3-goal lead now. Something to work with going into the halfway through the second.
Wrap attempt is no good and held on to by Relics. You know, with a 4-0 lead, I felt like maybe the defense taking too many opportunities there, too many chances. Getting caught in your own zone, basically, on a 3-on-1 is kind of strange to have that happen. Good quick shot and a good save on a deflection. Montreal starts out again.
Yeah, it'd be a huge mistake for Montreal to start settling down and thinking that they've got this game won. This game is far from over. We've seen St. Louis score very quickly. They definitely could come back in this game. There's a lot of hockey left yet to play.
Blues will get a power play now as Montreal going to call for another trip.
Now, if St. Louis wants to get really closer back into this game, they have to capitalize on this power play for sure.
Face-off goes out of the zone. 8 minutes left to go in the second. And the Blues starting up a power play here. Offsides immediately, stopping the play. You've had one good drive so far in this one, guys, and it resulted in a goal, but they've been struggling up to this point.
Yeah, and that's so that offsides is so frustrating when you're playing and you're not playing well anyways, and then you got a 5-on-4 and you can't enter the zone without going offsides. It just the momentum killer. Yeah.
Deflection in front, and Montreal now only up by 2, and again getting shots on net and getting a deflection, and St. Louis getting a power play goal, taking advantage of the man advantage finally.
We've seen this power play at work over and over again, and that's one of their go-to plays. They get the puck to the point, they fire it on net, they get body in front, and then next thing you know, they get a decent deflection chance, and it paid off for them right there.
Couple of loose opportunities in front. St. Louis could not hammer it home. Relics covers, but now St. Louis offense seems to be ramping up a little more. They're getting some more opportunities in front of the net. And as we've said time and time again watching these games, get something on the net, something could happen, and they've already gotten deflections and better opportunities in this period. Good one-timer goes way wide. Montreal holding on to it. Back to the point for Haunted. Shot is blocked. Vikings trying to get it in there. Can't find anything. Now Big. Cross. Good one-timer, but that was blocked. Good opportunity there. Matt got a shot off, but a little wide of the net. Now Montreal back in. They're attacking a little more. Vikings back to the point. Goes wide. Deflected. Haunted. Back across the other side. Good blocker save by Dees, and now cleared out. Approaching the 1 minute mark left to go in the second period, and St. Louis has played a better period here.
Yeah, they were able to narrow that gap down to 2. At least it's a closer game now going into the third, and they have something to work with.
Good quick outlet pass and a beautiful one-timer.
Wow,
and the Canadians,
nice.
what
That
a...
was a good, yeah.
In traffic, too. Getting a pass out front like that was kind of amazing. I'm not sure how he was able to do it, but he found some room. And the second goal of the game for Dirty Dog puts Montreal up 5-2 as the last second ticks off. Almost one more opportunity there, but Big could not get his stick on it. And Montreal will take a 5-2 lead. A good comeback late in this period, guys. That's the kind of thing you want to see from your team after letting in 2 consecutive goals to come back with one at the late in the period to make it a 3-goal lead again.
Yeah, you almost thought it almost looked like St. Louis was finally lulling Montreal to sleep with those narrowing the gap, and the next thing you know, Montreal comes back with their own big goal and puts the momentum back on their favor going into the third. And good for them. They need this win. This is a must-win for them, in my opinion. So definitely better start. It's better off for them to start off the third up by 3 goals.
A few minutes ago, Midnight put his lineup in for the second game, and he's putting in the same lineup he's got in now. So good news for Montreal if they can keep it going, and they're going to face still a good second game lineup for St. Louis, but they've got some good momentum going in this game, and I feel like if they can win this one, carry it into game 2, it could be a big advantage for Montreal. We start the third period. Canadians controlling. Big. Trying to split the middle. Doesn't do that. Now back to the point. Shot blocked. Now loose in front. Covered up by Dees in net. Face-off one and a quick shot immediately by Haunted. Couldn't get an awful lot on that one, and so it was a good save by Dees. And again, another face-off deep in the St. Louis zone. Blues start out. Rapel trying to find something. Can't. Good back check by Dog, and he'll toss one in the other way. Quick pass in front. Big can't get a good backhander off. Now comes out the other way. Lead. Can't quite connect, and now an offside being called. No, a power play. Montreal's going to go on the power play. Another Blues penalty. Did not see that.
Well, yeah, it looked like a hooking right there on number 20, the assistant captain.
Another opportunity for Montreal to put another one on the board. Good forechecking there by Rapel. He's trying to make something happen out there, and now the Habs come out the other way. Pass over for Dog, trying to set something up. Can't get it past Josh, and now cleared down. 50 seconds left to go on this power play. Pass is misconnected, and now the Blues clear it out again. One more rush with 20 seconds on this power play. Vikings. Gets blocked off the puck. Good check by Josh. He clears it out, but finds Top Cheese there wide open. Now a pass back. A good save off the shot by I'm New. Another opportunity again. Rapel trying to spin. Can't get anything going. Now the other way comes Vikings. Haunted. Good quick one-timer. Puck is loose. And behind the net. Good play. Staying with it. Dees and able to push it behind the net. And now an icing on St. Louis. Quick shot off from Haunted. Good blocker. Wraparound attempt. No good. Try by Big to make a backhanded wrap, but not quick enough. And another face-off again in St. Louis zone. Now St. Louis coming back. Wrapped around the boards. Rapel gets approached by Haunted. A couple of players fighting for it. Montreal back the other way. Under halfway through the third period, and Montreal still holding on to a 3-goal lead. Dog gets it around the other side for Vikings. And now behind the net. Dog again gets it out front. Vikings can't get a stick on it. Now back to the point. Vikings in front. Dog was not set up for that one. Now the one-timer the other way. Another penalty coming up against St. Louis. Montreal taking their time. Goaltender has hit the bench. And now Montreal trying to get something going here, but an offside. And with 5:56, another power play, guys, giving Montreal more time, where St. Louis is going to have a hard time doing anything offensively.
Yeah, so this is setting up for game 2 to be a huge game for St. Louis. St. Louis is playing their big dogs in the next game. We're going to see RV Clutch and White Knucklers make their Stanley Cup Finals debut in the WEHL, and they're going to need to have a big game, bring their team back to 1-1 in the series.
Good quick chance again. Covered up. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's if, of course, Montreal can hold on to this three-goal lead, which it looks like they're definitely going to be able to do unless St. Louis can pull a rabbit out of their hat.
Montreal still controlling. Could not get it over to Dog for a one-timer. He controls. Big tries a wrap, can't get it to go. Puck is loose at the foot of the goaltender, but Dees finally covers it up. It'll be under 4 minutes once this power play's over. A lot of work for St. Louis to do to get back into this.
Yeah, St. Louis, best thing that they can do is just focus on the little things. Try to start working on some of the things that they need to do better for the next game. This game's not over yet, but definitely need to act like a 0-0 game and do the best they can with what they got left.
Penalty is over. Of course, it's been over for a minute or so, but here's Montreal still on the attack. Another shot. Canadians really controlling this game. Only a few really good opportunities I've seen for St. Louis in this. Under a minute left to go. A 3-goal deficit.
Yeah, Montreal took a play out of the St. Louis playbook. They played defense by controlling the puck in the offensive zone the whole game. Didn't give St. Louis very many chances to do much with the opportunities they had.
Yeah, I'm very surprised at this. I've just been watching, and this is a good game.
Goes back to Montreal's depth. This is the best chance that they're going to have to beat this team. Is these are the games they have to win. And, So definitely good win. Gives you some momentum going back into the locker room in between game 1 and game 2, and let you take control of the series.
Final 15 seconds of game 1 winding down, and it looks to be a Montreal victory. A partial break here. Good defense. No trip called on that one. Maybe one more chance for a goal here, but Montreal will take game 1, and the final will be 5-2.
Yeah, congratulations, Montreal, on the huge victory. You guys did exactly what you needed to do and came out big and strong and put a couple quick ones on the net and scored early in the first and just continued that on into the second. Hats off to the Montreal Canadiens for coming out swinging in this first game. Good job.
Got to be a lot of surprise from a lot of people watching this, and maybe even for the Blues as well. You know, sometimes maybe you put a line out there that's going to be a bit of a sacrificial lamb for game 1. You tend to do that sometimes, but this was not that kind of line for St. Louis. It may not have been their number 1, but it was sure a damn good line that can beat anybody. And it really struggled to try and slow Montreal down in this one, and it was not an easy task. And really, it was Montreal on the attack the whole time, and a very interesting game all around, where Montreal, to me, had control of it the entire time, and just a very interesting game, guys. Does this, I mean, it's a different line going out there for St. Louis, but does this affect how they approach this game?
Yeah, some teams it absolutely would. With the experience that St. Louis has, I don't think it will. White Knucklers knows that for his team to win, that he's got to go out there and handle his business. He's got to play big. He's probably got to win every game that he's in. And he handles pressure well, and same with RB Clutch. As long as Montreal doesn't jump out to a lead, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of pressure going into game 2 from game 1. But if Montreal finds a way to get a couple of quick goals, then it's a no holds barred at that point, and there's definitely some pressure that's going to be building.
I was just reading here. St. Louis has 38 giveaways.
Wow.
Yeah, you can't do that if you expect to win. This is not something that we've seen typically from them. Montreal did a good job of disrupting the play and making St. Louis uncomfortable. Anytime St. Louis is uncomfortable, they seem to break down defensively, and that's what we've seen time and time and again from them. So that's what Montreal's got to be their game plan moving into game 2, 3, 4, is just keep St. Louis uncomfortable as much best they can. Montreal's throwing out their same line from game 1 to game 2. St. Louis goes back to their traditional strategy of switching it up from game 1 to game 2. So we're going to see a whole different line from St. Louis, and that's probably a good. When you get beat up like this, 5-2, and you're going back against the same guys, it's real hard. It's real easy to get down on yourself and go in to game 2 with a little chip on your shoulder. So I'm glad that St. Louis is throwing out another line out there so we can see how they match up. It'll be fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, Montreal had almost 8 minutes. Had over 8 minutes on attack. St. Louis only had like 3.
And 22-9 total shots on goal in favor of Montreal. 9 shots for St. Louis. That number right there would make you say, I don't know how they win this unless they score on half their shots. And, just not getting a lot of opportunities. Once they started taking shots, guys, that's when I felt like it was opening up for them. But it took them a while. It took them halfway through the second before they really started to turn that on.
Yeah, they definitely didn't get off on the right foot. And I think we saw that play out for the rest of the game when Montreal took that big lead in the first. I think they were up 3-0 in the first. It just put St. Louis on their heels for the rest of the game. They were able to get a couple quick goals into the second, but Montreal was able to fire back with a couple seconds left right before the third started, and then Montreal just dominated the third. So good job, Montreal. St. Louis has got to figure some things out for sure.
you see the scoring there. It's 2 each for Big Little Guy and Dirty Dog. Big with 3 assists as well in this one. We see Cab Relics with 7 saves and really, he had 9 shots, but he had a couple of tough opportunities. And St. Louis, when they started taking more shots, got a couple of deflections. One went in, but Cab still wound up making a couple of saves on some good deflections. You have to give Dees credit for making 17 saves in that game. Really faced a lot of work there. And again, we've talked about this before. You give up 15, 16, 17 shots, it's going to start being a problem for your team. You give up over 20, and the chances of you winning is really tough. Montreal, as defensively as they play, guys, still wound up getting a lot of opportunities in this game.
Yeah, kind of surprised that they were able to get that kind of production on St. Louis. St. Louis has been one of those teams that really shut teams down on shots on goals, time on attack, really limiting the other team's ability to be productive. That's not the team we saw tonight. St. Louis struggled in every facet of the game. They seemed uncomfortable. Definitely was off. Something was off. Maybe it was line chemistry. Maybe it was, I don't know. Whatever it was, they got to go figure it out.
And again, really the numbers just looking at the way the scoring was spread out. Everybody had a point for Montreal. And what I was really impressed with was the way the puck was being moved back to the points. We saw Matt take a lot of shots, a lot of one-timers. We saw Haunted getting opportunities too. But those guys, not only are the forwards getting it back to them, but those defensemen know how to work the puck to each other and then work it back to forwards, to the wingers when they need to. So, saw some really good puck movement. And I got to believe St. Louis is going to look at that and say, okay, same lineup's going to go. We need to really concentrate on that moving forward.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely have to play more of a tight point type of strategy going into game 2. And that's the thing about this next line is they're able to read and react pretty well and to make some adjustments on the fly. If they get into this game and they don't have the scouting report from, say, the other line, they're going to figure it out real quick on what they need to do to adjust. And it's kind of a game of chess. You got to figure out what you got to do to find a way to put the puck in the back of the net. I expect St. Louis to come out with a big game. Could be a low-scoring game, but I expect St. Louis to win however the game plays out.
As we mentioned, the same lineup going for Montreal in Game 2. Dog, Big Little Guy, and Vikings up front. Fat Matt and the Haunted playing defense. And Cab Relics in net again for Montreal. We will give you the lineup for St. Louis as well. It is Knucklers at center, Average and Clutch on his wings. Nasty Uncle Dead, Josh the Boss again on defense with D's and net. So that's what I have, and I think that's accurate.
Yeah, it looks like I said, Montreal's going to come out with their exact same lineup. We're going to see a whole different line for St. Louis. And we'll see if St. Louis's top line can bang with this line better than their other line just did. I will tell you, my prediction shifts pretty drastically. If Montreal finds a way to win this game, St. Louis is going to be hurting, and it's not going to look good for them. Must win for St. Louis.
Well, Game 1 is over. Montreal with the 5-2 win. They lead the best of 7 so far after 1. And, again, we showed you some of the stats before. We'll try and show you a little bit more about what's going on, what went on in Game 1. Bess, I definitely found it interesting, your response. And you definitely seemed genuinely surprised at how this first game was played. What surprised you most, other than the score? What stood out to you as a bit of a shock about how this game was played?
Well, you don't you don't usually see St. Louis make that many mistakes in one game. To be honest, they had major breakdowns in their own zone that they got to figure out what. I don't know if it was because of that center that doesn't usually play there, but man, that was yeah, we gotta cut down on the figure out what they're doing wrong in their own zone. They're gonna be in deep trouble if they lose again.
Going down 2-0 in the series, guys, obviously, if that were to happen to St. Louis after this second game, look, we've seen St. Louis really beat up on teams after losing close ones. Is it how much of a death sentence would it be to the Blues if they were to lose game number 2 tonight and head into 3 and 4 tomorrow down 2-0? How bad would that be in your mind, Best?
Well, I was looking at the stats at the end of the game, and if they had them similar stats in the second game, I think that's a downhill trend, and going down 0-2, man, that's going to be deep to come out of. Whether you got home ice or you're away, that's a deep hole to climb out of, especially when everybody's all hyped up the way they are. Like, it's going to be, they have to. Got to buck down, man.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. What's your feeling on this, Pucker? Is it if they go down 2-0 in this series, how much of a shot do you give them percentage-wise?
I think their chances go down significantly. I do think it's definitely still something that they can do. We've seen Montreal's other line not do so well, even when they have the advantage. So it's not out of the park by any means yet. But if Montreal goes up 2-0 on them, then Montreal kind of controls the series because St. Louis has played both of their lines. We've seen, what I would not necessarily consider Montreal's best line, and then now you get to see Montreal's best line face these two lines again tomorrow. I think it'll be tough. St. Louis has got to find a way to win this one. If they don't, then they just take the control of the series out of their hands. And you hate to see that happen.
And again, just give you a quick look on the scoreboard again. But yeah, it's again, we know what St. Louis is capable of, but Montreal again. And every time I wonder if after the last series, if this next challenge that they're going to take on is going to be too much for them. They keep seeing to step it up, and I don't know if that's the players stepping up or the strategy about how to play the team is getting better and is getting reformulated to really focus on who we're playing, what we need to do against them. And I feel like Montreal, part of the plan in that first game was, let's give them a taste of their own medicine. Let's hold on to this puck as much as we can, move it around in their zone. Let's not get caught back, but let's keep the pressure on them offensively. Try not to take a shot right away. And they did that early on. They started to get more shots off later on in the game. But I think Montreal played such a well strategized game where they did what St. Louis does, which is set up, hold the puck, and look for good opportunities, but let's not give it up right away and give this really good offense a chance to come back at us.
Yeah, absolutely. They definitely stole a play out of the St. Louis playbook, and absolutely what they needed to do. If they want to bang with the big boys, then that's what they're going to have to do. Now, that's one thing I did notice going into the third round when they were playing Detroit. Detroit was a solid team, and Montreal just outclassed them. And that was kind of the first inkling that I had, hey, this Montreal team's for real. Like, I don't care what their regular season record was, 2 weeks into the season. These guys can play some hockey. And they absolutely earned the right to be here. It's not a mistake that they're here. It's not a fluke. They didn't win by some luck bounce. They're a tough team, and that's what we're seeing here. And they came out and played like they needed to in this first game.
Got at least a good 5 minutes or so before we get this game going. Game number 2. T. Sibbs with Dog Chow, who stepped away for a minute, but he'll be back in a little bit. Best there is, and Pucker with us. Maybe some of the others will join in eventually, but we will be the three of us for the time being right now. Pucker, myself, and Best. Again, I kind of think it's a help when you can get some of your line swapped out. Now, St. Louis is still going with the same defense and goaltenders in this game, a different forward line, and arguably with Knuckler's clutch and average, maybe a more offensive-minded line. Does that make any difference to what Montreal would do? Does it put more pressure on them to play a little more defensively? Or, Pucker, do you think that Montreal just has to play the same game they just did and try and possess the puck as much as they can?
I mean, yeah, ideally, if they can hold on to the puck and keep St. Louis to very limited chances, that's going to be their best strategy, especially if they can get a couple good bounces early on. Montreal, game 2, would be a huge mistake on their part to try to go into a shootout, try to just push the pace. When they get a lead, they got to slow it down. They got to take control of the puck and hold it as long as they can. This St. Louis team doesn't take very long for them to score. You make one simple mistake, and they're going to make you pay for it on this line that's coming out here. The defense is staying the same, but from what I've heard from Knuckler, talking to him throughout the season, this is the defensive pair that he's most comfortable with.
Uh-huh.
It's the one that they've got the most experience, chemistry-wise. So, yeah, we're going to see a different St. Louis team, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing a much better game from St. Louis this next game. I think just changing out the guys that are really good at their positions is going to make a huge difference, and Montreal's going to have their hands full.
Probably have either Nasty Uncle Dad or Cab Relic stream again. They are both in this second game, so we'll be seeing probably one of those two guys. We thank them for helping us out with the streams, as we have thanked everybody during the playoffs for helping out. It really helps make this broadcast happen. If there were no streams, and like I said in the forum in Discord, I think I've gotten more help in this league in the month and a half that I've been working with a lot of you guys than I have in any other league I've worked in. So I love how you guys are into this. You love what media is trying to do to make it more interesting, and we appreciate you guys making sacrifices and helping us out. We're going to do more of this next season. Plenty to come. More weekly shows. Hopefully doing some interview shows. We'll do some live commentary on games from time to time as the season goes on. And as the season gets towards the end, we'll definitely be covering some of the top key games that are coming up. So a lot to go by. And also we'll be covering well, I have to ask Best. Is it a draft? Is it a bidding? I honestly don't know.
Where'd my tea go? I know I had tea.
You're sounding awfully soft right about now.
No, we thinking about just a big draft.
Right.
Yeah, we did bidding last season, and some team I don't. Some players got bid on that somehow weren't even playing. I don't know. It was
Yeah, it can happen.
What is it that you think that you'll see from a draft that will improve the outcome of this season versus last season? What's the kind of the decision making process for you guys best deciding whether or not you're going to go with a draft or a bid? Like, what's the pros, the cons to each one of those?
Well, a draft would be all at once, but it'd be a lot like a really long process, few hours. Obviously, a bidding takes place over a week or 2 weeks or an extended period of time. There was ideas of doing both. Having a bidding process for the new players to sign up during the season. But it can become a headache really, really quickly if, it's it's a lot of work to do both.
Sure.
A draft is probably more simpler because you got all this huge list of guys. Everybody got their order in which they pick. You know what I mean? It's just draft would just be a lot easier.
I can definitely see how a draft would be more manageable. I think the bidding is one of those things that you really kind of have to have some of those automated processes in place so that you hit a button, it starts, and then you step back, and 3 days later it's done. You have to have that automated process to make that real successful. Otherwise, it's like you said, real cumbersome, real tedious. And so I can totally see why we would be leaning towards a draft for this season too.
I mean, it's not that the bidding was a complete failure. It was just that, and actually, it did have a thing where you could just set a price and it would do the bidding for you up to that price. But it confused some guys, so we just think a draft would be easy.
Right. Hey, we've got Midnight Fapper on with us now as he joins us while we're waiting for Game 2 to start up. Congrats on the Game 1 win. Maybe the best game we've seen your team play in the playoffs. Just a good all-around game. 5 goals on 22 shots, holding them to 9 shots and 2 goals. I think that's almost about as good as you can get from what you can expect from your team.
Yeah, I mean, we came out with a game plan, and really, it's a different team, but same game plan, and we just executed it, man. I mean, it was executed to almost perfection. I mean, there's a few, mistakes here and there, but if you're not, nitpicking, it was all, pretty well-rounded game.
You guys absolutely.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you guys did absolutely amazing in this first game. Dominated every aspect of the game. St. Louis just looked like they were on their heels the whole game. Different lineup for St. Louis, at least on their forward line. Do you guys expect to be able to implement the same game plan and be as successful, or do you have to adjust your game plan based on who's in the game?
This will definitely be a real telltale game of what's to come, and definitely think that we have to just stay disciplined. We've kind of been discussing. We have an idea of what we want to do against this lineup. We know we gotta take this lineup seriously. We gotta take every lineup seriously. Really, I mean, St. Louis is a heck of a team, and we're not taking that lightly by any matters. But I think we just got to stick with what we've been doing and really not make it anything bigger than it is.
So you can go ahead if you got something.
I didn't hear that question. What was that again?
Oh, he was just saying that basically that you got to take it game by game. So
Right.
I was just saying, if you have another question for him,
Okay.
you can shoot it. If not, I can keep going.
Yeah, no. we've talked about your team a lot, playing this really well balanced defense, offensive game, and I think we saw it. We saw it again, but we still saw the ability of your guys to put more offensive pressure on this team while playing defense, probably more than we've seen in any other playoff game that you guys have played to this point. Was there anything different about the strategy that gave you more openings offensively? I mean, the first period, it took a while before St. Louis could really get anything going in your zone, and even still couldn't come up with a tally after one. Was there anything you guys were doing differently that allowed you to hold on to the puck longer?
We actually over the weekend we actually switched up our lines a little bit. So we actually our two lines are actually completely different from what they were. They're not the centers are the same because those are our two centers, but besides that we've kind of moved a couple pieces around and we found something over the weekend that we thought really clicked. And it was kind of this, interesting blend of like a couple real offensive talents with, maybe like one defensive forward up there that can still move the puck, but also gets back and helps the defense. And then on top of that, we knew what we were getting with our goalies and defense as is. So we feel like we really found a really nice combination, and we decided to say, hey, it's Stanley Cup final. This is a little risky to go ahead and switch lines up, right here at the end, but we're gonna go ahead and roll with it because we felt comfortable with it, and so far, it's working out.
Yeah, it absolutely paid off huge in this first game. So, with what you just said, does that mean that the best is yet to come from Montreal? Is this just the tip of the iceberg, per se?
I will find out, honestly. I just, I'm not going to say one thing or the other because really, I mean, at this point, you could win a game 10-0 or you could win a game 1-0. But if you don't win enough, 10-0 games, you end up losing. And if you win enough 1-0 games, you could win it all. So really, we're not really looking for necessarily, overpowering stuff. We're just looking for guys to grind and win out games at this point.
Definitely their strategy that worked in game one for sure.
Not a lot of not a lot of opportunities necessarily for St. Louis, but I commented as we were going over the stats, even though it was 9 shots on Cab in net, he still played well. I liked his positioning. When you go up against a line that is as active as any of the forward lines for St. Louis, as a goaltender, you could have an issue, let's say, with maybe moving around too much in net, being too cautious of them passing and trying to anticipate. But Cab didn't do that. I think he kept himself pretty well positioned at all times, and that allowed him to pick up some loose pucks in front of the net that could have been dangerous. I thought he played a damn good first game, 9 shots or not. He kept a couple more out of the net that would have been, that could have been easy rebound tip-ins or tuck-ins that could have been problem for you guys. And as good as your forwards and defense played, I think Cab was also a deciding factor in that one.
Yeah, I mean, we came into this knowing that our goalies were going to have to just keep playing solid, and we have two really. I mean, I'm included in this, so it's weird because I kind of feel like I'm talking about myself, but I don't want to. But we have two goalies that I feel like are really disciplined when it comes to staying very quiet in the net, and really when you see these higher end goalies, I'd like to say a lot of them are very quiet in the net, especially against the top or higher talent, because against the better the talent you play against, there's going to be guys making bigger moves, more, the pace, it's not, it may not pick up, but it's going to be a lot cleaner, and they'll expose those mistakes, unlike a team that might not be as good. So if you're, I like to see my goalies be really quiet in net and just not really make too much huge deciding movements, that's going to catch them out of position. So, I like our chances moving forward. I really do. But I gotta head out and get into this game too, because I'm in it actually. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right,
But it was
Midnight.
nice
Good
talking
luck
to you
in
guys,
game
man.
2. I hope you guys have a good big game.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
All right, take it easy.
Looking forward to it.
You got it.
Have a good one. Thank you for talking to me.
You got it. Midnight Fapper joining us as he is going to get going here and move on and get ready for this game. So I might have gotten the lineups mixed up here. What do you have for Montreal for the second game? Because I want to make sure we're not giving bad information out here on the playoff hopes.
The original plan was for Montreal to come out with Cab. I wonder if something came up last minute that it looks like a last-minute change at 9:41. Going in game 2 is Fapper. We'll take the penalty. Sorry, I forgot to message. So Fapper's going to take the penalty. So his team's going to start off down one man, down one man.
Right.
And that's not what you want to do with this high-powered St. Louis team. Like they're going to shoot. They may start off shooting themselves in the foot.
Well, St. Louis looks like they're still waiting for RV Clutch to show up, so I don't know if he's got something else going on or is a no-show.
I'll tell you what, if RV's not there, this would be real tough for St. Louis. It's not that they can't bounce back. It's not like that they don't have a talented person to throw in there at left wing. But they definitely lose. RV Clutch has put up 46 points in this playoff in the games that he's played. And he's just a beast. So losing him, even if you replace him with a 20-point guy, you're losing something. And you're losing some chemistry with him and White Knuckles, as we've heard them talk about.
Right.
So this could be a determining factor of this game if RV has something else going on, fell asleep and forgot to set his alarm or something. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see. So.
They're still, I'm just trying to think of some of the other guys that we haven't seen yet. Montreal still has Ehans, who isn't going to be in either one of these games. So that's, that's nice to have somebody like that who's been pretty consistent all playoffs long to go for you in this one later on. Who do we have remaining on both teams that might be interesting to see show up in games 3 and 4? I mean, we still have Cornet, right?
St. Louis we haven't seen Cornet from St. Louis. We haven't seen iPass to score from St. Louis yet. And those were two big players in the previous matchup against Vancouver in round 3. And then for Montreal, like you said, Ehans is putting up a lot of points. He's got 16 points. He's their third most efficient forward for Montreal. And then you've also got down south Killa, who's efficient as well at 17 points so far in the playoffs. And then they kind of got a sleeper that people probably don't know about. Ghost Bear _53.
Right.
He's only played 3 games in the playoffs so far. This man's put up 10 points in those 3 games. So if he comes out, maybe that's that secret weapon that they were talking about that he didn't want to share. But that might be a really solid first line for them. That's a lot of point production between those 3 forwards. And we haven't seen any of them yet.
We'll see if this game gets going. Waiting to see if this one kicks off. You see both teams are there. This one's taking a while, so it may not get going. We'll. I think it might have gone, so we'll see.
I was going to say, it amazes me that we're this deep into the NHL 19. Everybody knows if you don't ready up, your chances of getting into the game is decreased significantly, and yet time and time again, we see people like the right wing over here for St. Louis not ready up. It drives me crazy.
Well, we see so many times with this game, we have to treat it like an angry wife. Just be really nice and try not to piss it off. We may look like we're about to take a penalty. And
yeah.
Best had a chime in on that.
A weird moment.
Looks like
we have a disc.
yeah, we have a disconnect, so not sure what happened there, but we'll get you back to this one here as soon as it gets going.
Hey, Sis, do you have any tips for the viewers that want to be like tune into us? Is there different outlets that we have available for the tuners to stay connected to the league?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, you can go to the worldehockey.com. And we've got a link to the YouTube channel up there now. So we go live with anything. You can go right to that page and get to it. We've been posting the YouTube channel in Discord, but you got the main web page. We're trying to do more things now with it, where we're posting information up there. We're posting links to streams, to videos. So click on that page, that main web page that we have, and hopefully you'll be getting to get to more items for media, and have the opportunity to see some of these videos, some of the hype up videos that we saw that were put together this week. And then, of course, these live games. We'll post links to the broadcast after they're done, so that you have a chance to go back and look at it if you want to. But yeah, we're going to try and do more of that on the main page, get more things on there, so you have one-stop shopping. Now, if that changes for next season, we'll see what happens. But for now, we're going to try and go that way. And, of course, we'll post things in Discord as well. So we know pretty much everybody's in there looking all the time. It's a great place to go for everything. We may also try and make more of a user media area where we can post these show links and any other video links that might come up. So we'll try and do a little bit more of that. Montreal trying to get into this game. It looks like they lost big little guy when entering the dressing room. So we will be another minute or two before we get a restart going here. But Discord, we're trying to do more there. Obviously, trying to post. You got the rule book up there. You've got an owners area. You've got the headquarters, scouting, a couple of forums about the league there. Of course, our typical league chat. And then, of course, all your applications are there. And I've never seen anybody do that with Discord yet. I like the fact that you can get links right to applications. And I think that's one of the better things that we do, is that we try and make things as easily accessible as we can for the members of the league. And so, Discord, there have been a couple of guys who have been working on that, have done a great job of it. We give them a lot of credit for making it a place where you can find out anything. And if you can't find it there, you ask somebody, you're going to get an answer from somebody in the organization here that can give it to you. So it's been a very responsive league, and between Discord and the webpage, I think you'll be able to find anything you want about the league.
Yeah, and I just want to mention, Season 2 registration is open. You mentioned a couple of ways to get to those applications. If you're interested in joining a new league, come check us out at the World E-Hockey League. We're going into our second season. Still feeling some growing pains, but doing a lot of great things here. I think you'll be able to come in and find a place that if you're kind of new to the game, you'll be able to grow and develop. And if, for example, this is something that you've been doing for a while, you'll find a place that's got a pretty good competitive environment and let you showcase your talent in a great way with all the awesome stuff that media is doing, hyping these shows and getting these guys' streams going and doing a great job.
What else have we not touched on here, Best, about Season 2 coming up? Anything else you want to tell the folks about what's going to happen in the next few weeks?
World Cup. I think we've been going over it the past. Let's see. No. My stats is new, but so so we'll be using my stats for the stats instead of Sports Engine.
Okay.
So once the playoffs is over, we'll have all the owners go and make an account, and then, well, actually, what we do is we make the account for them, and then you give them the email password, then they can log in and do their stats. My Stats now has an app that you can enter stats in real time now, and
wow.
So I think that's really going to help. Yeah,
That's way better than it was before in the past.
yeah. So that's going to help tremendously, I think.
Yeah, I've got a hot take coming in off the phone wire. White Knucklers just mentioning and pointing out some stats to us. He states that he is 9-0 in the playoffs, and he's pulling the lion's share, and he expects to get a win in this game too. So let's see if he can put his money where his mouth is and back up this promise. I think he's going to do a great job for his team. He definitely carried the lion's share of the work for this team, and he's going to do a great job. I have a lot of faith in him to bring it home for these guys in this one too.
Looks like Montreal may have lost their center again, so I'm going to have to wait a little longer for this game to get going.
Yeah, and Big Little Guy is Montreal's point leader. He put up, I think, how many points did he put up last game? Quite a few. Anyways, and so definitely want to get him in this game. It would be a huge loss for Montreal to lose his caliber of forward. He's just a disruptive forward that causes a lot of chaos for other teams, and definitely want to see this game with him in it for sure.
So St. Louis backing out. They're going to try this again. Be another few minutes before we get this going. It's been a lot of connection issues. I've seen other games, other matchups that have taken forever to go. It's been a lot of hockey being played right now, and there's some other places where there's some other money leagues going on, and so it's there's a lot happening where it's the servers are getting overloaded. And when I say servers, I'm convinced there's just one. The way this game's been playing all year, it's been pretty pathetic. Wow, it's what can you say? I can't imagine there are too many people who are thrilled with NHL 19 this season, and I haven't played nearly as much as you guys because I haven't really been playing leagues that much this year. But it's been just horrendous, and connections to games have just been. It's frustrating as hell. It can make you want to throw the game out and not play your playoffs.
Yeah.
It's just hellish.
Makes you rethink things. Yeah.
I feel like this is an abusive relationship that we're all trapped in. EA knows that they're the only lady in town. There's no other, you know what I'm saying, out there for us to go try something else out.
We keep going back to it. We keep going back to it. No matter how many times we've been burned by NHL and EA Sports, we keep going back.
And then time and time again, it's okay, honey, I won't do it again. I promise you, it's going to be better this time. And we get our beta, and things are going smooth for a little while, and then they drop the game on us, and it's hot trash. It's why did I spend $60 on this again?
So I learned my lesson. I stopped spending more than $60 after last season. I decided last minute, I'll splurge and get it a couple of days early. It just was 3 more days of frustration playing a shit game. So it was not worth the $20 is what I'm saying. We are, you know what we are? We are basically, to EA Sports and NHL 19, or NHL 19 specifically, we are basically cucks. We just sit here and watch them screw us and screw everybody else. So it is ridiculous.
Oh, I
And
gotta put that in quotes.
note, I want to thank EA Sports for providing this wonderful game for us. It allows us to broadcast this show and provide all this wonderful content for you guys.
They're going to actually do something ingenious, track this game down and shut it down for good.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I won't be working for EA anytime soon, but that's okay. I tell you what, I'll tell you this right now. Get me a $300 million lottery win, and I will fund another company to build a hockey game. I will absolutely do that.
Yeah.
Anybody, I would try and get 2K to make one if I have to. But all right, looks like we might get everybody in here. So I think we have everybody. Didn't see anybody back out or anybody drop. So I think we might have a game here. We are going to be looking at the feed of Nasty Uncle Dad, who was going to provide us with a feed here without play-by-play, although it might sound like a quiet arena, but there are people there. Puck's about to drop, and we will be getting underway here finally. Montreal needing to take a penalty. Are they trying to figure out who's going to take it or how to take it? There we go.
Or how to take it.
It amazes me how many guys forget how to dump the puck over the boards this late into the game. In fact, he was on the blue line. He almost screwed that up.
So they're going to take a double penalty here. And so it'll be... Unless the first one didn't go over where it needed to. Now it's finally going to be a penalty.
It was at the blue line, and so it was in a neutral zone.
So he did mess up.
Yeah.
Now St. Louis will get the power play here. Montreal will get it cleared out.
From behind.
Clutch. Intercepted. Flipped out by Haunted. St. Louis will start up again. 1 minute left to go in the power play. Clutch. Drops for Knucklers. Now back to the point. Moving the puck quickly. Shot on net. Deflection. Good save. And now looks like another penalty coming up against Montreal. Two-man advantage, and let's see if St. Louis can take advantage of this. Remember, we have Fapper in net right now for Montreal, late scratch, and that gave St. Louis the first power play. Good save. Saw Average coming at him with a one-timer, and good play by Fapper. Some of these wide-angle shots have incredible accuracy, which is not true to the game, but it's true to this game. A few seconds left to go. Attempt there. Couldn't find Knucklers. Now one man back on for Montreal. Dad, Knucklers. Gets it in front. Deflection goes nowhere now. Another opportunity in front, but Clutch couldn't get it there. Shot deflected. Knucklers back to the point. Shot deflected wide. Knucklers. Now puck intercepted and flipped out. That second power play was a major, so 3 minutes still left on that.
I just realized that myself.
So far has not hurt Montreal, but they have not been able to do anything offensively for the first 5 minutes of this first period. In front, puck is loose, and it gets knocked in, but it's being waved off. We'll see if this counts or not. Looked like Fapper made the save, laid on it, and then not sure if that was a kick in, they're saying, but they're gonna allow that goal. So yeah, it's a goal. St. Louis with the power play goal getting on the board here.
Honestly, I didn't even see where it was even kicked.
Another opportunity, a puck just not able to connect with it. Average, clutch, in front, puck flipped out again. So still 1:45 left to kill on this power play. They wound up giving Clutch credit for that goal, as he was the last one in that area, and I think might have gotten a stick on it.
Honestly, I thought it was going to be a goalie interference call when it first happened.
Damn, I dropped
Puck
my
flipped
phone.
out.
Montreal is doing a good job of slowing down this offense on the St. Louis team. A lot of times in this power play situation, you see St. Louis like to move the puck to the point, get that body in front of the net, and you haven't. Montreal's kept them from being able to do that.
They're using the points again. St. Louis is sort of doing what Montreal did last game. They're trying to use the points, getting shots on net, getting deflections happening. So far, Knucklers has done a good job Fapper doing a good job of stopping those deflections, and had one that he did save. And of course, we've seen that happen time and time again. The puck rolling up over the goaltender. He had it covered, but not quite fully. And Clutch able to get something on that to put the Blues out in front 1-0. But so far, I like the way Fapper's played.
Yeah, Fapper's a fantastic goalie. He's gotten himself at least 2, if not 3, shutout, or 1 or if not 2 shutouts in this playoffs series. Not series, but you know what I mean.
Right.
And he's an outstanding goalie for sure.
Man, nice save on Clutch in the last play. And now, once again, St. Louis attacking. We're at even strength, but St. Louis has been able to continue holding on to control here as Knuckler's looking for an opening.
Yeah, Midnight Fapper wasn't always Midnight Fapper.
Yeah.
And this is the traditional, control the puck play that we've seen from St. Louis time and time again. That's an uncommon force that we saw from White Knucklers just there. But doing what they do, just holding on to the puck deep in the zone and making sure that, oh, there you go, boom.
Yeah, one-timer by It's Average gives the St. Louis Blues a 2-0 lead. And now St. Louis again, and it's almost a reverse carbon copy where Montreal has not been able to get anything going. Obviously, they're killing a lot of penalties, but it's been all St. Louis offense. Knucklers has some space to move. Boss, shot deflected, good save by Fapper, and he'll hold. Fapper really, not much he can do. He just needs to stay center of the goal, and they're getting off shots like this from the point. There's going to be a lot of deflections to be had. Montreal in the zone. Back to the point. Shot from Matt blocked. Still kept in. Dad up to Josh. Average in front, trying to find Knucklers. He wasn't quite in position, and now Montreal coming back the other way. First period, 52.4 left to go, as you see, and Montreal having to kill penalties early, just not able to get anything offensively going, and looked to be killing it pretty well, but St. Louis found a couple of openings and some good luck and have a 2-0 lead, and now Montreal will get a power play. Last 10 seconds here, and with barring a goal score, will continue in the second period with a power play. And as I say that, a tip in front by Big Little Guy off the shot from Fat Matt. And Montreal has drawn within one. Took them about 4 seconds to put that one in the net.
There's not a lot of time left in the first, and they found a way to get a puck on net and get a good deflection and a goal. Cut that lead in half.
And one more last opportunity there, too. One more chance in front. Almost put another one up before the period ended. So good play. As you see, Montreal, though, only 2 shots on goal. I think we just saw them in this past 10 seconds of the period. Meanwhile, St. Louis, 12 shots, 2-1 lead. And time on attack. You see 39 seconds for Montreal. Obviously, killing penalties, guys, in that first period really was the problem for them, and the major really hurt them in that one.
Yeah, Montreal has been has had the penalty bug the entire playoffs, and I'm not sure how much of those penalties are the missed roster lineup issues that caused them to take early penalties like they had to in this game. But regardless of why they're having so many penalties, it shoots them in the foot at the beginning of this game. This is a 1-1 game possibly if they don't have that penalty.
St. Louis again, one-timer, good save off the shot from Clutch. Now Clutch again. Knucklers controlling, able to hold on. Good play. Good shot again by Joss. Now Montreal starting out with it. Another shot. Ooh, open net was there, but great play by Midnight to come back and make a kick save. Knucklers gets hit on the play. Couldn't hold on to it for much longer. And now back the other way comes Dog. Gets around his man. Looking to get it back and could not quite find Big Little Guy for a one-timer. And it's all the way back the other way. Good hustle there by Average, but Montreal will come out with it. Good defensive play. Average helping out. Joss gets it up. And Big Little Guy will reset for Montreal. Now pass up as Average takes it in for St. Louis. Gets knocked off the puck. Good play coming back to help out. And now another opportunity. RV Clutch has it. Does the wrap. And Fapper could not get there on the left side to stop it. RV Clutch with his second goal of the game. It's 3-1 St. Louis. Now back the other way comes RV Clutch. Go ahead.
That's almost a complete reverse of what we saw from game 1 to game 2. St. Louis is dominating this game in the first period, even though Montreal was pretty efficient and able to score on one of their 2 chances. St. Louis is coming back in the second period and doing the same thing that they normally do, which is to just control the tempo, to control the puck in the offensive zone and just dominate the game from beginning to end. Oh, that's a big penalty. That's a White Knucklers taking a 5-minute major. I'm pretty sure that's going to hurt.
A lot of time to give Montreal to get a couple of goals here. One would be hugely beneficial to them.
Yeah, we saw them score off that face-off in the last game where they kicked it to the...
They just did on a quick pass to Dirty Dog, who was wide open. It looked like Dees was out of net there and struggling there, so not able to get back into position.
Yeah, it looked like that first slap shot set that play up. He caught Dees sliding to the left a little bit, maybe using a little bit too much of that right stick, and next thing you know, Dirty Dog's wide open on the right side of the ice and able to bury it. And
still on the power play, 4 minutes left to go in this one, in this power play. And down by one, can Montreal pull it even here? They had some good opportunities just a second ago, and they'll start out again.
Yeah, they got to take advantage of this opportunity. The best defender on the ice is off the ice right now with a 5-minute major, and definitely going to cause a little bit of strain defensively across the ice. Like I said earlier, when White Knucklers was on the ice, he makes it easier for the defense, and he's nowhere to be found right now because he's in the penalty box. So Montreal needs to find a way to put a couple more in the net and score here.
2:15 left to go in the power play. St. Louis able to get it back in the Montreal zone. 5:45 left to go in the second. Another trip looks like coming up against St. Louis. And so now they're just going to dump it in, try and take a two-man advantage for a minute and a half here.
Saw this in the first game.
Yeah, that's one of those situations when that first major penalty causes you to kind of stretch yourself, use up your energy, and next thing you know, you're taking a bad penalty and dropping yourself down to 5-on-3.
They're getting opportunities from the point. They're setting up men as much as they can. And good play there to recover from it. Now pass in front for Big, but a good glove save by Dees, and he'll hold. See, 49 seconds still left on the 5-on-3. Good one-timer and a great save as Dees anticipated well. Wrap opportunity. The puck almost slid in and just went off the pad and kept outside of the post on the left side of Dees, and he'll hold. Action getting fast and furious now. Still 23 seconds left to go on the 5-on-3. Montreal needing to keep it in. Good one-timer and another good save by Dees. He's been playing well in this 5-minute penalty kill. Now another chance on the point. Good kick save. Power play. The one man will be over in 5 seconds and over now. And St. Louis, luckily for them, only getting away with giving up one goal in that 5-minute advantage and two-man advantage for a little bit. Now Knucklers controls. Chases it sideboard. Knucklers able to keep it in. Finds RV Clutch, but he loses control. Minute left to go in the second period. And St. Louis looking for another opportunity or two. Clutch. No one's going after him. Now he tries to get around the player. Big little guy went after him and knocked him off the puck. And now Montreal will clear it out. And the second period is over with the Canadiens, after having to kill some penalties here, finally get an opportunity to go on a two-man advantage, a 5-minute penalty, a power play, and put one up on the board. Not able to do a little bit more. These nuts with a nice couple of saves there in that penalty kill, that two-man advantage, and it is still St. Louis up 3-2 in this one.
Yeah, this is a good opportunity for Montreal to narrow that lead down to one again. Definitely got a much more scoring chances. In the first period, we saw them just get only 2 shots on net. In this period, we saw them put 14 shots on net, and great goaltending by St. Louis to keep the puck out of the net. Looks like he's got about an 80 save percentage currently, and doing a great job keeping St. Louis lead strong. In the third, St. Louis needs to go back to what they were doing in the first, not take any bad penalties, find a way to extend this lead a little bit more, and cruise into victory.
You see that 16 shots on goal now for Montreal. Remember, they had 2 after first period. So getting finally some activity on the board in this period, getting a couple of goals up there, and getting back into this. Still not a lot of time on attack, but they are at least heading in the right direction and have made this a one-goal game. St. Louis not able to run away with it. We thought they might. It looked earlier on like they were going to start scoring one after the other, but the Canadiens have slowed them down, and now we head to the third period, and Montreal, not sure why we have nobody moving.
looks like there's a huge disconnect by St. Louis. Looks like they lost 4 of their guys, and looks like there's a massive lag out. So I think this.
Yeah, I think they're going to quit now. They're going to finally quit this one. Wondering what was going on there, and then I finally realized there's one guy, Nasty Uncle Dad, the only one who was able to stay there, and the only reason we were able to watch this happen. But we're going to have to wait to get this game started up again. A third period restart is in order here, and again, we'll see St. Louis take a 3-2 lead into the third period of this one when it restarts again.
Best, are you still with us?
I'm here.
So with this massive lag out on St. Louis's side, what are we looking at? What do we expect to happen from St. Louis starting this third period? Do they take 1 penalty, 2 penalties? What do they? It looks like they had 4 guys lag out in the intermission.
Yeah, they did. Well, see, we've never had something like that happen before. Not a massive lag out like that. Holy crap, 4 guys.
Yeah, it's a big lag out.
It's usually 1 penalty per lag out, but if you have, you usually only get 3 lag outs before it's forfeit, but 4 guys lagged out at one time.
Hey, I guess we'll let you try and handle that. While we're waiting for this game to start back up again, just want to remind you where we are on social media. You know, we mentioned it before, the YouTube channel with WEHL Sportscast, on Twitter and Instagram at WEHL Official, and on Facebook at World E-Hockey League. As you see it up on your screen right now, we'll leave that up there for a little bit so you folks can start adding those to your favorites, but we hopefully will see what's going on here. I think Fapper is looking for a ruling here, and I know you guys are talking about it. So while Best and Pucker discuss it amongst themselves, and I'll tell you what, guys, I'll mute you here so you can talk about it, but I'll keep on going. Let me know in the Discord chat when you're done talking with Fapper. Again, third period coming up. St. Louis up 3-2 in this game. Montreal having to kill a lot of penalty minutes in the first period. Wound up giving up 2 goals, but really some great goaltending, great defense, but great goaltending by Midnight Fapper. Kept it at 2-0 for the longest time. And so it wasn't until the second period, after only 2 shots on goal in the first and a couple of good opportunities, come back in the second, play really well there, get themselves on the scoreboard a second time, got themselves on it late in the first period, capitalizing quickly on a power play, and then got themselves again on it in the second period, had a 5-minute penalty of their power play of their own to try and capitalize on, and did it once, then had a 2-man for a couple of minutes and could not score on that one. Had a lot of good opportunities, but not able to do anything about it. So 3-2 right now, the score, as St. Louis holding on to a lead, playing good offensively, but holding on to a lead here. But Montreal pounding at the door. We'll see if they can keep the pressure up here and make it continue to happen here in the third period. We're going to hopefully get Fort on here shortly to talk to him about what he's been seeing so far. And we'll let the other guys get back in here shortly as well, and get them in here to talk about what we've seen in the first couple of periods. T-Sibs with you. We've got Pucker and Best there is as well. We'll get them back in here shortly as soon as they're done discussing what's going to happen with this ruling, and we'll get Ford in here shortly as well. Looks like St. Louis is setting up and searching right now. I'm not sure who's going to take the penalty, but we'll hopefully have some information shortly. At least St. Louis is looking. Could be that Montreal is going to hold up a little bit until they get some kind of ruling about who's doing what in this game, but we know the Blues are looking right now. We've got Best There Is and Pucker and Fort back in on the broadcast again. Fort, good to have you here. Have you been able to watch any of these first two games so far?
Yeah, I was kind of just watching them, moderating chats, and kind of reading, scrolling through, seeing what guys had input on everything in the chats and everything. So, yeah, I mean, truthfully, Montreal did what they needed to do in that very first game. You know, dominated, came out. You know, nobody really gives Montreal the credit that they deserve. Really, I mean, truthfully to me, I mean, Montreal is a good team. You know, I mean, you can't really sleep on them. They are a solid team that, you know, that everybody kind of overlooks because, you know, of St. Louis and St. Louis being as good as they are. But, you know, I mean, this is an evenly contested series, I truly believe.
And the activity has been pretty interesting. You know, all the penalties. I'm kind of surprised how many penalties we're seeing. I don't think we saw these two teams put an awful lot of PIMs up in earlier rounds, and it just seems like now, I don't know if because you're in the finals and you're being a little bit more over aggressive, but we're seeing both teams. They both have taken 5-minute majors in this game and have given the other team golden opportunities to put points up on the board, and maybe a little bit sloppy with their aggressiveness in these first couple of games.
Yeah, definitely working the goaltenders, and the defense. You know, your defense takes a toll on on those 5-minute majors, and you start to break down. And I hope that none of these teams break down to the point where you get a 5-on-3 for forever and ever and ever, and it just never seems to stop.
They're still trying to work out the details of what's going to happen on this restart, and
I have to take one penalty.
So Rapel's in here with us. So you guys on St. Louis are going to take a penalty, correct? Is that the case?
They lost a player during intermission.
I don't want to interrupt the broadcast or anything, but I'm just trying to, because there's a lot of people in here that, you guys are the ones that are giving the rulings. So
right.
I figured I'd just jump in and call instead of sending text messages. Fapper messaged me, and he was thinking that we all backed out to shorten the third period, but really RV Clutch lagged out, and we were just backing up to pick him up.
Jordan, if you're listening, watch the stream. When you start the third period, the only ones that are on the ice is lefty and the goalie.
Yeah, it's because the goalie didn't back out right away when everybody else backed out, and we needed the goalie to back out so Alex could take the pictures. Is what happened. Right. So we're gonna get RV we're gonna go back in and we're gonna get RV to take a penalty and restart for the third period. Correct?
Okay. Yeah, it looks that way. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, because you guys.
I'm gonna go let them know.
All right.
I think he's had everybody.
Oh man.
Yeah, they had everybody at the end of the period, so I'm looking at it right now.
Well, they did call a timeout as well. So, they started up, and all of a sudden there was a timeout called, or some sort of a stall on the game. And I guess because we didn't lose everybody, we didn't lose the St. Louis side because their goaltender hadn't backed out yet. But this game is interesting. You should be able to stop a game when you want to, not based upon who leaves, but.
Definitely interesting for the people watching.
Hey, Sibs, I'm back with you. So I can kind of give you a heads up about what you can expect to see if you got me.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, so basically what happened is in the intermission, RV Clutch lagged out. The boys realized that he lagged out, and so it wouldn't be appropriate for them to start the third period with him gone. So that proceeded for the rest of the boys to start to put out. That's why we saw just the right D and the goalie left in the game, is because the other guys quit out like they were supposed to do, leaving the last two guys, which should have quit out originally. So the ruling is that RV Clutch lagged out. They owe Montreal penalty to start off this period. And we'll get this third started with St. Louis leading 3-2 and go from there. There is a question about the goalie interference from earlier in the period, and I guess that's something that can be reviewed from the league standpoint. That's something that will be addressed after the game is over.
Always interesting when there is something like that where the game calls it one way and then, maybe there is a legitimate reason for the league to look it over. I kind of like that option. To me, to overturn something like that the game is called, it has to be incredibly obvious. I don't know how you guys tend to rule on that. Maybe you could talk a little bit about what happens when you see something like that happen in the game. And somebody wants to protest that play. How do you what would cause you guys to overturn something like that?
Well, the one thing that I think could help your case, if you feel like there's a situation like that, make sure that you don't back out of the game. You go back to that situation in the replay, and you play it from every different angle that you can do it. And then save that video clip and then upload that as your supporting evidence to try to say, hey, this guy was all over me. This shouldn't have counted, so on and so forth. That's the best thing you can do, because at this point, if we don't have anything like that, all we have is the stream. And if we're playing from a goalie stream from the other end of the ice and he didn't zoom in, there's not going to be enough evidence to overturn it. It's kind of like the NFL's rule. Unless there's a blatant thing that occurred, it's going to be hard to overturn those. You got to trust the game to make the best calls in most situations. But it's something that, like you said, I like that we offer that as well. We'll definitely go back and look at that stream as best we can and whatever evidence is available, and make the best call that we can.
Parker, I think. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, best thing for Montreal to do is win the game outright.
Yeah. I think the word you were looking for there was undisputable evidence.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah, undisputable evidence that says this was clearly miscalled.
Yeah, because I know. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Will.
Well, I was going to say, because I know many times, even in the NHL, you'll have calls that a referee may make, and they take it to, they call like the safety room in Toronto or whatever, and the referee may say one thing, and but they have undisputable evidence that it wasn't the way that the referee seen it, and maybe that's where, even if you have maybe two sources of guys per team streaming, maybe that's where that could kind of come into play there too.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that we do allow that. If you feel a goal should have been overturned, you can ask that to be overturned, but the interference has to be blatant and cause an unfair scoring advantage to the other team. And if they feel that's happened, they most certainly can ask it to be overturned.
Well, it looks like we have both teams in the matchup here, providing everybody is ready to go. We'll get this one underway and try and close out the final game for the night, Game 2. Again, St. Louis up 3-2, third period. We'll start with St. Louis needing to kill a penalty. And I'm assuming RV, since he is the one who lagged out, would be taking the penalty. Well, we're about to get this third period underway, and we'll get this to you as soon as it starts up.
Scott Powers just mentioned in the comments of the YouTube channel, he said, if the lagout happens in the first 2 minutes of any period, you are supposed to stop and start over so the team is not playing 20 minutes with a computer player, which completely makes sense.
That's just for the integrity of the game. I mean, that's really what it should be, so that's a good call. Montreal about to start their power play. St. Louis wins the face-off and clears. Haunted. Now Montreal losing the puck and out of the zone now as Average tries to move it forward. Canadians get it back. Minute left to go in the power play. Good hit by Average. And St. Louis now clearing the puck on a penalty kill. 30 seconds left to go. Montreal trying to get something started. Nothing yet on this power play. Offsides as Matt could not keep it in for the Canadians, and the faceoff outside the zone. Couple of seconds left to go as St. Louis about ready to kill this penalty. Teams at even strength. Third period continues. Good shot by Knucklers, but a great kick save by Midnight. Joss, now Clutch, circling. Back to the point, Joss keeps it in. Clutch, looking for someone in front. I can't tell if that was saved or partially blocked, or both. But good play by Midnight, and again, another save on Clutch. This game could easily be 5-2, 6-2. Midnight has made quite a few good saves. Now in front, Knucklers couldn't find anybody. Has it again. RV gets it back to the point. Shot, good save. Could not be picked up by Clutch. He gets it back, though. And a one-timer by Knucklers. Another good save by Midnight. Montreal trying to move the puck a little quicker. Sends it in the zone. Vikings couldn't find a way out front. Now coming back the other way, Knucklers. Sends it up to Clutch. And now penalty against Montreal. Might be a slashing call on that one. St. Louis will get a power play. Puck is knocked out. Knucklers. Now Nasty. Gets poked off by big little guy and cleared out. Good try and catch up to it by Dirty Dog, but he could not. Now St. Louis back the other way. Point. Joss. RV Clutch. Gets it out front. Good play. Good defensive play to knock Average off of it. St. Louis still keeping in the zone. And now another penalty against Montreal. And a 5-on-3 as you see for 17 seconds.
Montreal penalty to number 7. Your boy Alvin, 2 minutes for slashing. Time of the penalty, 10 minutes, 21.
Now back to a one-man power play for St. Louis. Knucklers spinning. Now a shot from the point. Good toe save. And a good cover-up by Midnight. Average was there to try and tuck one in, but a good quick cover-up. And we'll get another face-off deep in the Montreal zone. Now Montreal on the attack. Killing a penalty, but still holding on to it. Good opportunity in front. Puck is loose. Good shot. Big getting one on net, but no rebound to be had. And St. Louis starts the other way. 20 seconds on the power play. Knucklers circling. Throws one on net. Goes wide. RV now back out to Knucklers. Another great save by Midnight. He is just robbing Knucklers left and right. And St. Louis still holding a 1-goal lead. Montreal, though, needs some more offense to have something happen in this one. Dangerous play there as RV had a chance. Now back again, and then this time Knucklers finds an opening. Good pass back by RV Clutch, and White Knucklers has given St. Louis a cushion of 2 goals, 4-2 Blues.
St. Louis goal scored by number 4, Bernie, assisted by number 97. Time of the goal, 13 minutes, 37 seconds.
Approaching 5 minutes left to go in the first. Spin move by Clutch. No good. Montreal trying to work it out. Offsides by St. Louis. So again, guys, penalties, a problem for Montreal, and having to kill too many of them in this period, hurting them big time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of been their Achilles heel. Up until this point, it hasn't really hurt them enough to make them cost them a series, but they're definitely going to want some of these penalties back, and hopefully they can make some adjustments in the following game so that they don't take so many this many mistakes.
Hitting 2 minutes left to go as St. Louis will drive. Montreal will try and clear it out. Need 2 quick ones here to tie it up. They just have not had the chances in the zone this period. Under a minute. Dog tries to snap one off, and there was some opening there, but D's able to get a glove on it and hold it.
This is one of those interesting situations where you see St. Louis break out. I kind of like to see them tighten up here and just play in front of the net. Break out when you have full control of the puck.
Final seconds ticking down, and St. Louis looks like they will take game number 2 and tie this series at 1 game apiece.
Yeah, St. Louis did a great job coming back in this next game. They almost scored there right in the last few seconds of the game as well to almost take a 3-0 lead, but they were able to win by 2. That's what they needed to do in the series at this point. This was a must-win game for them. They tied it up, made it interesting. We'll go into tomorrow night with this series tied and see these boys face each other again.
Well, I tell you what, if nothing else, I think Montreal did a pretty good job in holding down a St. Louis team that really had a ton of opportunities in this game and, took advantage of it a couple of times. But, again, really 4 goals for St. Louis. But, meanwhile, it was, there were so many more opportunities. They could have had 8 in this game. This could have been a typical Blues 8-something game, and just amazing how it turned out. 11 shots on goal that period for St. Louis too. So 11-2 in the third period alone, and again, much like what we saw in the first period.
Up the heat. My bad. Go ahead.
No problem. Again, final score here in this second game. It was St. Louis 4, Montreal 2. The series tied up at 1 now, guys. And what do we take out of this game number 2, Fort? What do you see that worked well for St. Louis, and what did Montreal wind up going backwards on in this game? Go ahead, Pucky. You can jump in.
Sorry, I had some technical difficulties. My son just came in the house and knocked over a gate, and so I had a lot of calamity going on. I had my mic muted.
No problem.
Can you throw that question back at me? And I'll
I'm just going to say, what do we think? What do we think that Montreal may have been lacking in this game compared to the first game? Obviously, to me, the control of the game was not theirs for sure. They had some moment of time there where they had a little more control about what was going on when they had on-man advantages, but it really looked like they were struggling to control what was going on the ice out there.
I was really impressed with Montreal overall game plan. They did what they needed to do coming out in this game. Even though that St. Louis did control the tempo in the first, they were able to control the second. When St. Louis made that costly penalty and White Knucklers took that 5-minute major, we saw Montreal able to kind of rally. Went from 2 shots on net all the way up to 16. That's a huge turnaround, and that's what they had to have. They also scored pretty efficiently. They only got 2 shots in that first period, and they were able to make one of them a goal, and darn near made that second shot a goal as well. And that's absolutely what they have to do is be super efficient with the St. Louis team. You're not going to get a lot of opportunities unless, Knucklers takes another unfortunate penalty like that. That's just not going to happen. You'll be lucky to see that it happen again. But anyways, so Montreal played well, took advantage of the opportunities they had, and that's what they got to do moving forward. The things that I'd like to see them do a little bit differently is, they got to get a little bit more aggressive in that defensive zone. And when they see those, the St. Louis team kind of holding on to the puck and moving it around, they've got to get a little bit more aggressive and take the puck away from them. That'll give them some more scoring chances. It'll also just help their goaltenders out a little bit more, and they'll give them a better chance to win. But overall, I'm really impressed with the way St. Louis played in the second game. Definitely could have gone either way. I mean, it was a 3-2 game going into the third. They took a couple bad penalties. They can't do that moving forward. If they can do those things that I said and stop shooting themselves in the foot, I think we'll see Montreal be a tough opponent to beat for sure.
What did you see from St. Louis in this second game? What did they do that Montreal had trouble defending?
I mean, truthfully, I think they just came out and played a better hockey game than Montreal did. Montreal got kind of sloppy with the penalties. Hopefully Montreal can clean that up. Obviously, like I've said before, everybody kind of sleeps on Montreal and expected a sweep out of St. Louis. But I truthfully don't think that's going to happen. I think Montreal has shown them that we're here for a reason, and this series I think it's gonna keep going, and it's just gonna keep getting better. Truthfully.
What do we think about? And I'll start with Best with this question, and all three of you can answer it. 1-1 after the first 2 games. How bad is that for Montreal? Did they? I mean, we talked about it earlier, but after watching them play these games, can they come out of this 1-1 and still win this series? Best.
Honestly, I don't know, because wasn't this game St. Louis and Montreal's top lines against each other? I think
to answer that question, Bess, we saw St. Louis's top line and then Montreal's top center, but they kind of mixed up their lines a little bit, and Flapper kind of alluded to that we may have the best of Montreal may be left yet to be seen. So we'll see.
I guess we will, huh?
And we talked about it earlier too. We talked about the fact that iPass and Kornick haven't played yet for St. Louis. So I'll let you answer that. How do you feel Montreal has a chance here after 1-1? Did they need to win these first 2?
No, I completely think Montreal's got a chance. I think that sooner or later. I mean, I don't know how do I say this. Sooner or later, these guys are going to realize that, St. Louis is good, but that they can compete with them, and they have no problem competing with them. We've seen it in the past. We've seen many of teams, compete with St. Louis. I mean, obviously everybody up-talks them, which, no doubt, I understand why. But everybody seems to put a chip on Montreal because they were a wild card coming into the playoffs, and obviously once you hit the wild card, you're not looked at as somebody who can contend. And I think that now, after games 1 and 2, I think now is Montreal's time to kind of show everybody, like, hey, look, like, we're here, like, we're gonna do this. We need to do this.
2 more games tomorrow, guys. What are we thinking we're going to see from the lineups, from the players we still have coming up? I'll let Pucker hit this one first because he's been looking at what could be coming down the road for the next 2 games. What do we think we're going to see in games 3 and 4 tomorrow night?
I think St. Louis, if I was a betting man, I would say that they continue the strategy that they've been doing. You'll see 2 different lines played, early game versus the late game. The question is who's going to play which. And then I also kind of anticipate Montreal's kind of done the typical where they just play the same lineup in both games. And so I kind of expect both teams to kind of follow suit. I think we'll see interesting lineup for Montreal, and hopefully they can have enough firepower to bang with the White Knucklers and RV Clutch. I think that's the game that they're going to have to steal. Whichever game White Knucklers and RV Clutch play in, I think that's the game that Montreal is going to have to find a way to win if they want to win this series. And if they follow suit. And they win against the first game line we saw, then they can stretch this series all the way out to 6 and maybe even 7. But sooner or later, they're going to have to beat White Knucklers and RV Clutch. And if they can't find a way to get that done, there's no way they win the series.
What are you thinking about this, Fort? What do you expect the next couple of games?
Truthfully, I expect to see the same Montreal that we've seen in Game 1 tonight in Game 1 tomorrow, or in Game 3. Doing availability. I know Fapper, he's a great owner. He's a great dude. I think he'll figure out a way to kind of figure things out. Obviously, Montreal's got, work ahead of them. But I don't see this series going anything shorter than a 6 game.
Gotcha.
I don't. I think that. Truthfully, to be honest, 100% honest, I truthfully think that St. Louis is overrated. But that's just me. I'll say it right now. I'm not a huge St. Louis fan. Everybody up talks them, but I've always been a fan of the underdog. I hope that Montreal can kind of kick the shit out of St. Louis and win a Stanley Cup, but that's me. I'm not biased at all. So but that's just me. I don't know. I think the underdog story is better than the you were the number 1 team all season story. You know what I mean? Right. I think that come from behind miracle kind of outweighs the okay, you're good, everybody knows you're good, continue type of story. Like I've said, I think Montreal's kind of got to come out, like I said in the past series, with Vancouver against St. Louis. I think Montreal's just kind of got to come out, punch St. Louis in the jaw, night in and night out, and hope for a knockout. So. Yeah, that's my opinion on it, but.
Bess, what are you thinking about tomorrow night's games? A lot of good firepower on both teams still left to play. Do you think there's going to be anything different than what we saw tonight? Best? Yeah, we may have lost him.
Bueller.
I'm over here talking. My mic's muted. My bad.
That's okay, buddy. What? Yeah. What do you? What
I think it's going to be the same, dude. It's going to be a high-powered fight. I think to the end. So, but lucky earlier, them Montreal being able to control RV Clutch and Knucklers. If they can't do that, they're not going to be able to win this series.
Gotcha. All right, guys, let's do it again tomorrow night. What do you say?
Sounds good. Thanks for having me. Thanks for everybody that's helping us with the stream. Great job on this job from the media standpoint. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, we thank all the players for helping out. We, of course, want to thank all the guys who showed up here tonight. Best and Dog a little bit earlier on. Pucker here all night. And of course, Fort joining us here later in the evening. And we thank all of you for watching our broadcast again tonight. You've been watching the World E-Hockey League right here on the YouTube channel. And we'll be back again for tomorrow night. Game 3 and 4 of the World E-Hockey League playoffs. We've been here for every round, and we will be here for the next 2 nights. We will definitely have a Game 5 Thursday, so we'll be back Thursday night for the WEHL Stanley Cup Finals. For everyone else, T-Sip saying so long. We'll see you tomorrow night.